Sir?
Yes, sir. We're all ready.
All right, good. Well, thanks for the hard work, guys. I know it's not always easy to do those virtual seminars or virtual sessions, but I just got to get a lay of the land. So do we have folks that are in a location and folks that are virtual, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, give me 1 second. Sometimes just a change in fragrance in this office with our candles, I get a chance to sneeze here or a desire to sneeze. All right, so let's go get started. I'm going to do a presentation here about 20 or 30 minutes, and this is an extension of what I did for the. And I just to make sure if you guys were wanting to record, I didn't know if you were recording or not recording.
We are, yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, so in case you weren't doing that. Perfect. So an extension, for some of you who went to that, what we call the four-hour Agile seminar, and one thing I didn't get a chance to do at that seminar was to spend a little bit more time talking about what to do next. Okay, so now I know that a lot of you are, based on what I've seen and based on speaking with your group, is that you're highly motivated people, that you want to succeed and you want to do things well, and you really want to get off on the right foot. So one thing I said yesterday to a group of students was that what I'm going to share with you is something that, even though I have 2 doctorates and 7 master's degrees, no one ever shared this with us in any one of my classes. I've never heard a professor, or really not anyone in general, take the time to help us say, okay, well, let's cut to the chase and let's look at what it takes to be successful in the business environment. And you're already doing that. So you guys are already doing some of the things that, when I say guys, I mean guys and gals. So just be aware of that, is that one of the things that's required or it's expected is that we kind of go beyond the expectations. You know, the easy thing to do is to go to class, you know, do your homework, pass the classes, and then graduate. You know, that's like the easy thing to do. But the things that y'all are doing are going beyond expectations. Even when I see you guys working with your technology here, trying to make it work, I find that stuff impressive. I find these things cool because I deal with them all the time now as I go to different places to do courses and teach courses. So anything you do that's beyond the normal, anything. Okay, so anything. Maybe it's you're spending time serving other people in a particular ministry, or you're doing this technology work, or whatever it is, just anything beyond the expectation. So if you are taking notes, it's a real simple process. Okay, here are the 3 keys to success based on some of you, and maybe some of you don't know me, so I'm going to share with you a little bit more about my background. I was born in a little town called Uvalde, Texas, not far away from here, and of course you guys might know it today because of the shooting that took place there. But later in life, we, you know, believe it or not, my family were completely migrant workers. So my job was to be working the fields when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. So you would never think that someone coming from Uvalde, Texas, who was a migrant worker, would someday be a professor at UTSA. That would just never cross your mind, right? So I think that's an important piece to consider here, is that there was something that pushed me to education, and that was for us to move to a different town. We moved to Southwest Kansas when I was very little. When I'm very little, I was like 12 years old. But so the background that I have is through just working hard, you know, going to school, passing my classes. I wasn't an A student, okay, but I was an AB student. And so I went to junior college in Kansas, and then because of course I could afford that, I was paying out of pocket. And so I played college baseball. I wasn't the best at it, but I was good enough. And I played some games, and I didn't play others. But there was one game we were playing against Wichita State, and they were short of an umpire. The one umpire didn't show up, or they didn't have him assigned, or something happened. So my coach, knowing that I would not play that day, said, "Hey, can you umpire the third base, or can you umpire the bases, or something like that?" And I said, "Yeah, sure. I don't even know what I'm doing, but I'll do it." Well, that was the opening, believe it or not, to me becoming a referee. I became an NCAA referee, and I officiated collegiate basketball. In fact, I used to referee UTSA games, but I officiated Division I men's basketball in the Big 12, Mountain West, Conference USA. So anyway, I officiated for 25 years. And so the reason I tell you that story is because in 1999, I got an idea. The idea was that I could start a company, an IT company. You said IT company back in 1999. That wasn't it didn't really land with a lot of people because nobody really understood that. That wasn't the Google, in fact, Gmail or Google wasn't even around. It was a totally different time. So I started a company, an IT company, where we could automate the services of major collegiate conferences like the Big 12, Conference USA, ACC, and so on. And what we would do is we would automate the entire officiating business. To make that story short, we were at some point, my business partner and I, working with almost 80% of all the D1 conferences. And in fact, we even made several presentations to the NFL in New York. We didn't get the contract, but we at least got the experience, right? But anyway, so what we did is we automated the business. It became a very successful business for us. I did that for about 10 years, and then I sold my share of the company to my business partner, who still runs the company today. And so today, in 2008, something I want to talk with you about today is I passed the PMP, the Project Management Professional Exam, and a company here in town called Rackspace, some of you might have heard of Rackspace, they asked if I could provide or create a training class for them in project management since I have a PMP, right? So They thought, why don't you do that for us? I didn't know much about teaching in the corporate world. I mean, I've been teaching in academics since 1991, but I never had taught in the corporate world. I worked at Shell Oil Company in Houston. I was my claim to fame there was I worked in the building right next to the Enron building. Some of you remember that. I worked at Prudential. I worked at a medical clinic where I managed a clinic in Houston for 5 different clinics that we had in the area. And then in 1995, I was hired here at USAA in IT. I was an IT staff analyst. So that was my last corporate job in 1999 when I left USAA. Since then, I've had my own company, and today I have divisions in Asia and in Central America. So if I'm not in San Antonio during times that I'm not teaching here, I'm working with teams across the world, which is a great experience, but of course it's hard because I'm away from home. But anyway, so finish that story with Rackspace. I have taught at Rackspace, City of San Antonio, HEB, U.S. Air Force, and I teach PMP courses, or I teach Agile classes or IT courses to them over the last 15, 17 years. So that's just a brief background. I wanted to give you that background just so you'll know a little bit more about me, that even though I'm in academics, the fact is that I spend really most of my time in business. I spend most of the time talking to people about business ideas, concepts, technology, and so on. But that's great because I'm able to have a conversation with intelligent people like yourselves who are dealing with business items and IT items all the time. Okay, with all that said, so there are 3 perspectives or 3 angles, recommendations that I give you. And here they are. Number 1 is get the highest level degree possible that you can with your chosen career. Okay, so some people might say, well, it's a bachelor's. And it might be, but here's what I will tell you. There's a lot of people with bachelor's degrees today, or 4-year degrees. So I would just caution you that at some point in your career, and I'm almost 99% sure about what I'm going to say, something about a master's degree will come up. Okay, so why don't you just get it? And get it when you're young. Because I know a lot of you are very young. You're probably in your 20s, early 30s, whatever it might be. I would say get your degrees now. Well, the only thing that gets harder is going to school when you're older. Because when you're older, you got kids, you got family, you got financial responsibilities that are really cumbersome for a lot of people. All right, so that's number 1, get the highest level degree. For me, being in academics, obviously would be a doctorate, or we call it a terminal degree. So whatever it is, though, it may not be for you, but just know that for me, even if I were not teaching, my goal in life was to get a terminal doctoral degree, even if I were never to teach. That was just something that I wanted to do. So that's up to you, then. The second thing is the easier one, is work experience. Work experience, and I get this a lot because I used to say it too when I started working. I was 21, actually I was 22 when I was hired at a shell oil company. So I came straight from St. Mary's University. Literally had not worked a day in my life in a company because I was a referee in college. That's how I was making money. I was officiating games. So I had never worked in a company. So I didn't have work experience. Now, so I will tell you that work experience, the benefit of that is as you get older, you get more experience. So that's not something you really have to kill yourself over because you're going to get it. It's just going to take some time. By the way, if you look at someone who says, hey, when is someone experienced in the workforce? The general answer to that is 7 years. When you put 7 years into the workforce, yeah, you kind of know what you're doing and what you're doing, okay? Now, if you change careers, that's a different thing, right? But if you stick with what you're doing, 7 years, you're not there, obviously, but you're building on experience now. You've seen enough stuff, really, that's what it is. All right, so I said number one, get the highest possible degree. Number two, get work experience. And number three, which is what I'm going to talk with you about next, is professional certifications. So why do I tell you that? Well, you see, I have the benefit of looking at my life, my work experience, with experience and also degrees, but no professional certifications. I have that. I remember that in 2008. I did not have any professional certifications at that time. It wasn't until my PMP, Project Management Professional, that I earned my first certification. And I can tell you that my life completely changed. So I can work nearly every single day in my life doing something I want if I wanted to. Now, I don't do that as much anymore. I'm 57, so I really don't want to work 80 hours a week like I used to when I was in my 20s and my 30s. I used to work a lot of hours. But today I don't do that as much. And the point that I'm making is that professional certifications is what changes the dynamics and separates you from a lot of people. So I'm going to talk about, first I'm going to recap what I just said, the three things that make for one success in anything we do. Number one is get the highest level of education. And you'll know what that is. All you have to do is go around your workplace and say, hey, what degrees do you have? And whatever you start hearing from the people climbing the ladder, that's the one you want to get, okay, or the highest level. Second, time. Put the time in. And that's work experience. And number three is professional certifications. All right, with that, I'm going to share a screen. I think I can share a screen without a problem. Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. It says send a request. I just sent a request.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I got the request. All right, so at this point, and I'm going to keep this high level now. So I'm not going to give you all the details because I could literally talk about this for an hour. But if you are interested, I have a video that I created. It's like a 22-minute video, and I can send it to you. And you guys can distribute it to your team who's here today. And it's more information regarding what I'm talking about today. And I have that video already ready, and you can share it with anyone.
Absolutely.
Okay, so here it is. So there are 3 certifications, and I mentioned earlier the PMP. So the PMP is what's called the gold standard in project management. It is a global certification. Now, if you notice here, it says 33%, if you have a PMP, you will earn at least 33% more than someone who does not. The project management professional is for a person who is managing projects day to day, or at least is involved with projects in some capacity. Now, when I took the PMP, there were about only 300,000 to 400,000 people right here back in 2008. Now, obviously, it wouldn't grow to 1.6 million if it doesn't mean anything, right? It has to mean something. So it's grown that much. And look at the languages that it's offered. Let me magnify this a little bit. So different languages, right? Now, I'm not telling you to go take it in a different language now. I'm just telling you that it's a global certification. It's a 4-hour exam, and it's for people who have project management experience. Now, some of you are going to say, Well, I don't have a lot of project management experience, and that's okay because we're going to go back up here, and there's another certification which is very valuable in the workplace, and that's called the CAPM, the Certified Associate in Project Management, and it doesn't require that much experience. In fact, it doesn't require any experience. It just requires 23 hours of formal project management education. So you can take a PMP course on LinkedIn Learning. You can do anything online and get your hours, and you'll be sitting for this exam. So it's a very more basic exam, but yet very well respected in the market. So let's take a look at it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in CAPM salaries in San Antonio. And let's look at it. The salaries in San Antonio, where we live, is they range between $68,000 to $102,000. Now, that's not bad for San Antonio. It's not Miami. It's not Boston. It's not Dallas. It's not San Diego. It's not LA. Not Seattle. But for us, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And so I can tell you that I'm going to type in PMP now. PMP salaries in San Antonio. And now we're looking at different numbers. The average salary in San Antonio is $110,000. And by the way, a lot of these jobs are remote. They're remote jobs. I get offers all the time. I turn them down, but a lot of folks that I know who have a PMP, 110 is very low for them because of work experience, other professional certifications, and so on, and education. Most of the people that I know with a PMP are making between 150 to 200. In San Antonio, and they're working remotely or they're working in person. They're working for banks. They're like Wells Fargo. They're working for HEB. They're working for Valero. They're working for companies across the United States, across the world, but they happen to be stationed here in San Antonio. Okay? All right, so PMP CAPM is what I recommend off the bat. If you went to the seminar that I taught the other day here on campus, this was back in October, I would have talked about the Certified Scrum Product Owner. So this website you're seeing now is called scrumalliance.org. Now, I'm going to share with you one certification, and maybe the second one because I already have it up here, is a Certified Scrum Product Owner. So many of the projects that we're running today are what's called, where technology is highly involved, and they are more complex. For example, Spotify is continually working on projects to improve the delivery of its services, the products they offer. If you are for example, a YouTube premium member, you'll see different features and functionality. If you use Ticketmaster for a particular concert that you're purchasing a ticket, they're continually focused on improving the way the app works. Those are all agile projects. Okay, so agile projects are complex, but yet they provide a lot of value to the customer. So that's where what I'm talking about now matters. By the way, the 3 certifications that I'm sharing with you today are called industry agnostic. I call them that. I don't know if anybody else calls them that, but industry agnostic means it doesn't matter what you do. I don't care. I teach these classes to people in human resources, people in IT. I had a person who works for the San Antonio Fire Department the other day. He took this class. He doesn't work on projects every single day as far as his day-to-day job as a fire person, but he wants to move up within the fire department where he knows he will manage technical IT projects, and he passed the PMP. So what I'm telling you, anyone who wants to earn these degrees, you can apply it some way, somehow. Okay, so here's a Certified Scrum Product Owner, but I'm going to go back to the one that I probably would recommend that you look at first, and that's a Certified Scrum Master from Scrum Alliance. Now, the Certified Scrum Master is if you are an agile coach, someone who wants to learn the rules of agile, and the benefit, guys and gals, is here. You don't have to have any previous experience. All you do is you go to certifications, you click on Certified Scrum Master here, you scroll down, it says find a course, you find the class that's best for you, you look at each one of these people, like I looked at this person right here, you look at more details, and it says here $349. Now, I will tell you, before COVID, when I took the certification, the exam cost $1,200. Today, it's $349, but if you keep looking, especially for some folks from the international world, like India, they do a great job. I have friends of mine who work and teach these classes in India, and they deliver a great class for less than $200. Now, you can take it hybrid modality. When I took it before COVID, you could only take this one in person. Today, you can take it virtually online, but just like we are right now. So, now here's the other benefit. The exam is an open book exam, 50 questions, and if you happen to try to fail it, you get another try for free. So, now let's take a look at it. Certified Scrum Master salaries in San Antonio, just to see what this means. Certified Scrum Master. CXM, between 103 to 109,000 for a test that's open book, and also you can retake the exam. Now, obviously, you're going to get some experience along the way, but it's good to have this on your resume already. Okay, so I've said that before. Get it on your resume and worry about the experience down the road, because you can say you have it. You know, once you have it, you have it. So again, keep looking out here. Scrum Alliance, I took quite a few of these certifications. So if you look at what I did, I took the Certified Scrum Master back, I took this well back. Here it only talks about when it expires, but I took it in 2013, I think, something like that. I forget when I took it. But I've taken quite a few of these certifications now. And for some of these, I had to travel because they were not offered in San Antonio. So one of them I went to Seattle, one I went to Phoenix, I think one I went to Atlanta. Back in the day before COVID, right? Because we had to do things differently back then. And also with PMP, I don't think I shared that with you. There's a dashboard. Once you pass the PMP, then you don't have to retake it, or the CAPM. You don't retake it. You just keep up with your professional development units, and they're not hard. In fact, what I'm doing right now, I'm getting PDUs, professional development units. So you see here, I have the risk management professional. I keep track of it here, and I got that in 2012. I have the scheduling professional. I took that in 2013. PMP, I told you that changed my world, changed my life in 2008, right there. Because I was hired by Rackspace 1 month later to teach classes there. PFMP, I took that in 2018. CAPM, the one I told you about, I took that in 2012. The PBA, the Professional Business Analysis, I took that in 2016. And then the ACP in 2013. Now, why do I take so many of these? Because a lot of my clients ask me to teach them. So obviously I can't teach something I don't have, right? So that's one reason. Okay, so at this point, I'll talk with you about 2 certifications. I'm going to share with you the last one. This is one that Rackspace, in fact, I just got a LinkedIn request right now to teach it next Thursday, Friday, here in San Antonio, to teach ITIL 4 Foundations. So the website is called PeopleCert, but you can search online anywhere, and you'll find different ways that you can study. This exam is closed book, 40 questions, and you have to get 26 out of 40 right, which is 65%. So now, what is ITIL Foundations? This relates to how we provide IT services. Let me give you a good example. What these young men were doing earlier when they were setting up the call today, they were checking the audio, they were checking the video. That's how they were delivering an IT service to you. Now that's what I'm doing too. I'm delivering an IT service. Now it's a service because I'm delivering something of value, but I'm doing it through technology, right? So that's what IT service management is. When you go onto Amazon and you do a return and it gives you a tracking number and it gives you a QR code to go to Whole Foods or UPS or whatever, that is an IT service. So you see, IT service management is a lot of what we do. For example, if you want to pay your light bill online, well, the light company in San Antonio will allow you to pay that online with a credit card or whatever it might be. Or if you go to HEB and you tap your phone and you pay with Apple Pay or Google Pay or whatever, That's IT service management. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. Okay, so these three certifications, I haven't done a search for ITIL before in a while, so let's do a search for ITIL before salaries in San Antonio. So this is between 51,000 for entry level, and if you get to a higher level here, 108,000. But here's my point about all these three certs. If you combine all three, the PMP, one of the scrums, right, Certified Scrum Master, and the ITIL, those are what I call the success triangle. And so when I send you the other video, you'll see what I'm talking about. Those three are industry agnostic, so you can apply them anywhere you work. And this is where the value comes in. The value is now you have these on your resume. Now you've got to get your work experience at your highest level of education. And pretty much, guys, I think you're going to have to be telling people that you can't work certain places because number one, you don't want to work there. Number two, it's not the salary you're expecting. Or number three, you got a better job offer. So I think I can tell you from it. Here's the other way I look at that. So when I told you that I work at different companies like HEB, U.S. Air Force, and I'm not just throwing out names, by the way. That to me is not important. What I'm telling you is that why would they hire me? Why would they pull people away from their offices for 5 days at a time if these certifications were not important to them? They wouldn't. They don't pull people off the shop line, or off the shop floor if there's no value in certifications, and then plus pay somebody to come do it. So again, just be aware that I get hired to do these work since 2008 now. And these are the top 3 that I get asked to teach to different companies. Okay?
Really cool.
All right, so that's my presentation. I kept it to about 25, 30 minutes. So any questions or anything that I can answer for you?
Any questions for you? One for you? Here, I'll turn the camera for you.
Hey, sir. It's Tamiko Ballard. I'm in your class.
Yeah, go ahead. Good to see you.
So, good to see you. Sorry I missed class last night, but this is and I watched the video, so it's pretty much the same thing. So,
Yes.
You were saying about taking courses in PMP, which I took a lot of project management courses. How do you determine how many hours a course, especially like at UTSA, how do you determine?
Well, are you talking about the PMP, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so good question actually. So the question for the PMP is the following. So the question number 1 is you need to have formal project management education. So I assume you've taken at least one, right, class?
Oh, yes, sir. I also got the grad cert, but I'm also retired military, so that's all I did
Okay.
back then.
So let's start with the education though, just to clear that hurdle first, right? So I'm sure you've taken at least 1 or 2 classes. So here's the way I look at classes that you take at a university. Because remember, at a university, we base it on contact hours, right? So you get contact hours for being in a class. So I would say minimum you can record 40 hours minimum for a class. And you need at least, to sit for the PMP, you need at least 35 formal project management education hours. Okay, minimum 35. So if you've taken at least 1, probably 2 classes, you've already met the expectation for the education. Now, the other item you mentioned, because you were in the military, to sit for the PMP, you need to show at least 3 years. If you have a bachelor's degree, at least 3 years of managing projects or doing something of value on projects. Those of you in the military, you have a lot of that already. So, and a lot of my classes are to the military people, that's why I know that. So, if you do not have a 4-year education, if some of you are still working on a 4-year education, then you have to show 5 years of working on projects. If you have a 4-year education, and it doesn't matter what type of degree, a 4-year education, then you only have to show 36 months or 3 years. Does that help?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I have, for those of you, when you're serious about taking the exam, reach out to me. I've got some project management sample writings that I created, and I'd be happy to share those with you.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Oh, I had one, but it lost my mind after the last sentence. Dang it.
Now, as you're thinking about that, remember that, I have students who reach out to me from 15, 20 years ago. So don't be shy to just keep me on LinkedIn. Just look me up on LinkedIn, Dr. Jimmie Flores on LinkedIn. Connect with me. Anytime you want to have a phone call, as soon as I get a break, I'll call you or we'll get together on Zoom. I look at my life a lot differently, guys, than I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. So my job today is to help our students succeed, right? So anything that I can do, that's why I'm here today, is if I can help any one student, it won't be everybody, there'll probably be one person in here in this room who goes on and gets a certification and gets a higher level degree just because you were here today. Or you'll tell somebody, right, that this was important. You'll share the video. You'll do something like that. I remember sitting in a class, teaching class many years ago, like 25 years ago, and I said the following to somebody, to the whole class. I said, I think there's one of you in here that will someday get a doctoral degree. And this was a undergrad class. About 10 years later, I get a call from one of the students saying that they were in that class and now they were in their second year of getting their doctoral degree because of something I said a long time ago. I tell you that because a lot of the stuff that I ended up doing was because I did it. In fact, not just me, a lot of us. It's better when somebody helps us along the way, right? Saying, hey, I can tell you right now, I grew up in a really poverty-stricken area in Uvalde, Texas. We were migrant people. We were very poor. So I can tell you that if I did it, it's probably possible for other people to get past the PMP, to get a doctoral degree, to, whatever, and to start an international company. It's possible. And we just have to set our minds to do it. It's not easy, but it's not supposed to be easy. Right? If it's easy, that sucks, because that means everybody does it. So we don't want things that are easy. Right? And you guys know that I teach classes. I'm scheduled to teach in the spring, so in the summer. So anytime that we're in class. By the way, I'm planning another 4-hour seminar in the spring, so it's free, and you guys are more than welcome to go.
In the spring, do you have a specific day, Dottie?
We're looking at April. We're working on the day because we have to find a room. As you know, sometimes it's hard to find a room. So.
I know
especially with 50 people. So. Yeah, but we'll get the date to everybody, and we'll give you guys who are here today primary benefit to get in because last time we got full. So.